So when we break down the wide receiver core, there's a couple of things that I've been hearing roughly for the last 2 years. And I knew eventually this would come to a head. The fans and the media were sold a bill of goods. They were sold on the fact that, you don't need wide receivers. They were sold on the fact that, Kevin Stefanski and his offense is just somehow magically better with all of these other guys that are tight ends and fullbacks and running the ball down the field and play action game and bootlegs and all of that stuff.
I don't know. Something happened. It was free Baker. They got it. They got that. They got a great offensive line, but all of a sudden the ball got spread to all the receivers because you can't win in this league without throwing the football, and they were winning.
And I've been saying this for 2 years. That offense is cool. That gets you some stuff, but you can no way, shape, or form win a Super Bowl with that type of offense. You just can't. But the fans and the media were bamboozled by people spewing the same thing over and over and over and over.
Wait, this is one of the better units in football. You got two really good tight ends. You got both of them. Even if OBJ's not there, Higgins is real damn good too.
Propaganda is so, my goodness, propaganda is devastating. One of the core tenets of propaganda is regurgitating things, repetition.
Donovan People-Jones showed a little bit of talent last year. Damn, the kid they drafted out of Auburn, Anthony Schwartz, this year in the draft, he can go. So, yes, another unit where you look at it and go, it's towards the top of football.
It becomes so repetitive that subconsciously you say the same thing without even actually questioning, is this valid? Does that really make sense? Is this what my eyes are telling me? Is this what I'm seeing right now in front of me? And the question in answer to that is no. We were told almost 2 years ago, the first lie and the first narrative was Baker plays better without Odell Beckham Jr.
Is it still accurate to say they're better without him?
It's 100% accurate. And listen, I would love to come on here and say, you know what, this team is going to stink without Odell Beckham Jr., that Baker Mayfield is not going to play as well. But that's not what the film tells us. The film tells us without Odell Beckham Jr., Baker Mayfield is the better quarterback.
Yeah.
That was the first step. Because that step, that lie promulgated on, and instead of being able to fix what Baker Mayfield's issues were,
they're kind of lined up as though they're just going to be playing cover 2-man type situation.
Instead of being able to call out like, oh, maybe we need to work on our quarterback's mechanics.
That would be good news for this route, right? The slant route, that looks good. That's definitely something Baker would want.
Maybe our quarterback does not have the correct foot placement.
Another very common thing that teams do, and the Steelers do, and just teams in general do, would be a cover 1 robber, which is this.
Maybe our quarterback is confused on some of the reads that we're throwing.
If this were to happen, this would be terrible for the route that Baker Mayfield wants to throw to on this one. In fact, that's why they call this concept the cover 1 robber.
We didn't even take a look at any of that in 2020.
And once the ball is snapped, you notice how this is the robber concept, right? Minkah Fitzpatrick, he runs over the middle, and Mayfield just doesn't notice it. I mean, that's just as simple as it gets. He just did not realize the coverage. He read the coverage wrong. He probably thought it was going to be cover 2.
Right? We didn't even analyze it in 2020. All we did was say the first part of the season, throw that out. Because whatever the case may be, whether in a couple of games everything turned into Baker just plays better without OBJ, without actually taking a look at what it is that caused Baker and Mayfield to consistently overthrow receivers, to consistently not read the defense correctly and scramble around and do certain things and take sacks, and to not take downfield shots where he's actually hitting people that are wide open. We're not analyzing that because we just said it was Odell Beckham Jr. There's a domino effect that happens with that, because now when that started happening, I knew it was a matter of time before Odell Beckham was out of town. It's only a matter of time. When you have a quarterback that needs play action, needs a great running game, needs an offensive line, needs weapons, needs tight ends, the first thing that you've done is you've hamstrung yourself. Because even if Odell Beckham Jr. is not getting the football, he does certain things that pull defenders away from the box.
they miss Odell badly. And I was never on the team to get rid of Odell. I was never on that side of things. I was like, no, I know he didn't want to be a decoy, but he helped other guys get open. He helped Donovan Peoples-Jones. He helped Jarvis Landry. He did.
Go back and look at the Ravens game. People say, "Oh, Odell, we don't need him. He plays better without him. He plays better without him." But you're not looking at the process in which Odell Beckham Jr. takes more people out of the box. The running game looks better. You have an opportunity. Your safety can't be just lurking around. He preoccupies a large contingency of the defense, which then makes your quarterback easier to get the bootlegs. It makes it easier for Nick Chubb because it's a numbers game. There's not a safety in the box, and you can't afford to leave him one-on-one. So that was unequivocally false, because when you have a quarterback who has limitations and you have to have things around him, taking something away from him around him, addition by the subtraction does not exist, because he needs that. So now you replace Odell Beckham Jr. Or do you replace him? No, you didn't replace him, period. Now you're back to having possession receiver Jarvis Landry, an unproven guy, and Donovan Peoples-Jones, who we were all high on. 2 years at the training camp, people, Donovan Peoples-Jones.
Look, we were all talking up Donovan Peoples-Jones in camp. He had a great camp, had a really nice preseason. And now it's really slowed down, and it's not for lack of opportunity. He's played the most snaps of any receiver on this team, and he hasn't done a whole lot.
He's gonna be that guy.
I'm starting to wonder, is kind of what we saw last year from Donovan Peoples-Jones maybe who he is? Maybe he's not like this down to down, make a big impact, but he'll make some catches here and there. I'm just not as confident in Donovan Peoples-Jones.
Everybody look good when you're the backside receiver. Everybody look super good when you got a number one receiver over here taking all the targets. The problem is when you become the number one receiver, you now get that attention.
Mm-hmm. But when you start losing guys, Rashard Higgins, I think, is a guy who's like, I'm a number one. I'm good to go. Let's roll.
You get the press coverage. Let's see if you can get off press man. Let's see if you can get deep. And the reality of it is, you can do it sometimes, but the difference between the number one and the number two is the fact that the number one can get open. The number one can get off press. The number one gets the double teams. If you're a number two, you slide up to the one, it ain't necessarily the same game plan, baby. But it also has another domino effect that we see with the receiving corps. Last year when Baker was hot and he played well at the last part of the season, the narrative started coming up, okay, well, we don't even need receivers like that. Basically our best really real talk, our best game plan is with the tight ends.
The Browns' best personnel is 13. That is one back, three tight ends. Yeah. That's just the truth. That's when they're at their best, because those tight ends can block. It's like the Ravens years ago. Yep. They can block and be pass catchers. This offense is built upon the run game. So you are in your best when you're running the football and having your tight ends on the field.
Once again, it's the underdog mentality. We'd rather think that we're the smartest people in the room and that we can do it another way. There's a reason nobody else in the NFL is running 3 tight end sets. There's a reason. You guys all love the cliche. It's a copycat league. How many times have people copycatted Kevin Stefanski's 3 tight end? Look.
You should be able to do more stuff. Their 3 tight end package used to be so good, and it's kind of limited right now. Their backs used to be so dynamic. It's kind of limited right now. Jarvis Landry's not separating the way he did. People's, again, I know we always like to point to the quarterback stinks.
Have you seen it? You tell me, you give me the screenshots where a competent NFL team that's a contender is their best, their players, tight ends, are the focal point of their offense.
The Browns' best personnel is 13. That is one back, 3 tight ends.
Their 3 tight end package used to be so good, and it's kind of limited right now.
It's ridiculous and it's laughable. But we took that. Right? We took it and understand and ran with it. Now that the team has one of the worst passing games in the entire league, They can't throw the ball over 10 yards. Teams are now in the box. Teams are now hanging out all over the line of scrimmage. The remedy or the fix now all of a sudden now is we need new receivers.
The other guys that you can't really count on. I don't think Austin Hooper has been a reliable tight end catching the football this year.
I got a question. Those last 8 games, we talked about how good the Browns were. We talked about how Baker was so good.
You know, David Njoku's never going to be a guy that you're like, man, he's going to catch everything.
When we had the exact same receiving room as we did back then,
his hands have never been his strong suit. You know, Jarvis his hands are his strong suit, but then, you know, he can get a little separation, but guys like Donovan Jones, they have to be perfect.
Why all of a sudden are they terrible this year?
And he has proven that he can win without OBJ, and he's got the great running game, the great offensive line, and still some good receivers. So I still think long-term it's Baker.
If you're going to give credit for Baker and the offense taking off last year, you're going to give credit at the last 8 games. Why all of a sudden you loved them then? Now, minus Odell Beckham Jr., which everybody wanted. Everybody wanted that. Now, 3 weeks later, the epiphany hits you. Wow, we need receivers now because there's no separation and nobody catches the ball.
They miss Odell. They need to go get 2 receivers next season. Right now, Anthony Schwartz is not cutting it. Jamarcus Bradley, who was on the practice squad, is now somebody they're targeting. It's baffling to me. It's baffling.
I'm going to need y'all to make your mind up. Were they good last year and bad this year? Were they just average the whole time? What was it? If you're going to say you're going to give Baker credit for last year, right? You gave him credit for last year. And then this year you say, well, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. He's hurt. You know, he's going through it. He's fighting through it. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. And that's why he's not doing that. We need to just give him some rest and come back. Let me ask you a question then. If you can use that same rationale for Baker, why is that same rationale not out for your receivers? Donovan Peoples-Jones been in and out hurt, growing hamstrings, all the above, the whole year pretty much. Anthony Schwartz, your rookie, he's been out, concussions left and right, hamstring injuries throughout camp, right? He's never been in offense, consistently. Demetric Felton, new rookie, he came in, got COVID. He's been in and out of the lineup. Jarvis Landry tore his MCL, had to sit out, had surgery, sat out 4 games, came back. Odell Beckham, when you had him, had the labrum issue, also was recovering from knee injuries. So let me ask you a question. Is it they're injured or nah? Because if you're talking about performance, and I hear a lot of people talk about there's no separation, people dropping footballs. Well, I just gave you 6 other guys that have been in and out of the lineup, hurt more than the quarterback.
Does he still have that? Because I noticed when he loses, he got a torn labrum, that he got a fracture in his upper arm. I ain't hear nothing about no leg or no arm all day Sunday.
But all I hear is the quarterback. He's hurt. He's playing through some stuff. He's a gamer. He has moxie.
He sucked it up and gutted it out and played through it.
You guys should be appreciating that guy's out there playing hard. Well, I need the same type energy for the receivers, right?
But you notice when he lose, he don't suck it up. He up there.
Since you're saying injuries is the reason we all derailed, right? But I'm guessing you'll probably say there's a difference. Well, there's a big difference between the quarterback and it's a big difference between the receivers. You know, one, your throwing motion, everything is involved. And, it's just so tough to just be. The Cleveland Browns are a room full of excuses. If you go back, this is nothing new. If you knew about Kevin Stefanski, you would have known that Stephon Diggs won it out of Minnesota.
Kevin Stefanski watches game film all week, and he's realizing the defense plays this to personnels and formations, and I know types of plays that can attack those things.
But, of course, somebody will say, well, Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen was one of the guys, and now, of course, he was going to take some plays away from him. It's an avalanche of excuses.
Well, when you have the pedigree and background like Kevin Stefanski has in that, but then you have a player that, okay, how do I get him the football? How do I try to force feed him the ball in certain, because
your problem now is you need receivers. You've always needed receivers. You've always needed Jarvis Landry, and you've always needed Odell Beckham Jr. You know it. I know it. Everybody knows it. The problem is, instead of addressing what the issues were in the beginning, which is why can Kevin Stefanski not get the ball to receivers?
You might design a play that's going to attack certain coverage, but then Odell's part of it, and you go, well, if I get cover 2, do I want to try? You know, and so you kind of fight that battle of, okay, do I want to design the play that beats the coverage, or do I want to try to get the ball to the player to take it?
Why is our quarterback wildly inaccurate even when he's not hurt? 2019, he was wildly inaccurate the entire year. We forgot about that. If you want to take the body of work, this is the guy who said he didn't even work out. This is the guy who said he thought it was going to be easy. This is the guy who told you, I don't need no quarterback coach. That was in 2019. That's only 2 years ago. First half of 2020, garbage. Really good the second half. But the reality of it is, you've always needed receiver. And now we just seeing the fruits of what happens when you don't have people respect on the outside. If you ain't got a number one guy, people going to lock down on you. And you're going to look just like the Browns looked against the Baltimore Ravens. That's the issue where we're at right now. And a larger issue is this. How do you effectively plan to get better? Gee, Bush, we need to draft somebody. Okay. So what makes me think that a rookie learning the game is going to have magically Kevin Stefanski help develop this man? How are you going to develop any rookie receiver if he's not even getting targets? If he's not, it's 3 tight ends on the field. So yeah, I wasted this first round draft pick on a receiver, but we don't give him the ball. We don't put him in on the goal line. We don't throw phase to him. We don't get him involved in the offense. So how is he going to develop and how is he going to be good? We got a quarterback who you said is averse to throwing the ball to one specific person. We can't just target one person on this play, even though every other team in the NFL does. Every other team on the NFL does. But we have a quarterback and a coach who can't do that. What makes you think a top 10 receiver who has all the intangibles like a Jamar Chase, a Justin Jefferson, what makes you think they want to come here and play if they ain't getting the ball? What makes you think this is some sort of great place to be? The quarterback don't hit me. He's inaccurate. And the coach don't even put me in positions to make the plays. So why would you believe that we need receivers and why that would make a difference? If Jarvis Landry complained about not getting the football.
Again, we have hard jobs, you know, and whether we're going to talk to Coach Stefanski or you know, having a conversation with CEO, and hopefully that conversation, you know, gets to Coach Stefanski in the right way that we can get things called or whatever it is. But, you know, I think for us as receivers, we can only make the plays when we're given the opportunities to.
And he's a multiple-time Pro Bowler. If Odell Beckham Jr. complained about not getting the ball, he's a multiple-time Pro Bowler. If Anthony Schwartz and Donovan People-Jones don't even get to rock, and Austin Hooper got more catches than them, and Harrison Bryant, what makes you think that if some guy, some rookie, some little kid coming out of whatever school is going to be able to be some sort of game changer? It's not happening. It's just not. And here brings me to my final point. It's deeper than that. Not only why would rookies think that they're going to thrive in this position or in his offense, what about the veterans?
Because sometimes individual moves have long-term ramifications. And I do wonder this, because I think the rest of the NFL, I think the top flight players in the NFL still think Odell has the ability to be a star.
Odell Beckham Jr. is one of the most recognizable athletes as far as a receiver goes in the league.
What number one receiver is going to next offseason after, say, I want to go play in Cleveland? Oh, it worked out so great for Odell Beckham Jr. It's going to work out great for me.
Jarvis Landry is one of the most well-respected athletes of all time. And regardless what you think about about the drops and people being tough and all that side, y'all must have forgot what he said on Hard Knocks.
If you can practice, practice. You can't get no better. Ain't nobody gonna get better by being on the sideline if you ain't hurt. If you're not hurt, you gotta practice. Because you make other work even harder. Now they had risk of getting hurt because you don't want practice, because you being a all that weak don't live here no more. That don't exist. It's contagious, bro.
If those two guys don't like Stefanski's playbook, Stephon Diggs, who's a top 5 receiver in this league, hates your boy's playbook. What makes you think any top flight free agent receivers is ever coming to Cleveland?
The Browns run more 3 tight end sets with just 1 receiver on the field than any team in the league by an enormous margin. Second most has done it 50 plays. The Browns have done it 128 plays. So stylistically, the offense is not necessarily conducive to a wide receiver getting huge numbers. They had a star. He was miserable there, didn't get his numbers.
Why? Tell me. To be good blockers? To cheer on the tight ends as they get 3 yards in a cloud of the dust on check down routes?
His biggest game of the year, 3 touchdowns. Only 1 was a pass from the quarterback. The other was a pass from the wide receiver, and the other was a run.
You guys are crazy. And then on top of that, the fans don't even respect receivers. The fans don't even respect what they bring to the table. You get hurt, they're like, we don't need receivers anyway. Nah, we need to just run the ball 100 times. What, you're not even respected. They don't even think they even need you like that. So what makes a top flight young, talented receiver at the top of his game want to leave and come to Cleveland as a free agent?
I think that this going south, Broussard, with Odell is going to impact their ability to sign a wide receiver, a top flight wide receiver, if that's something Andrew Berry and management there were planning to do in the future. I think it's much harder now.
And you know the first person they calling up, hey, OBJ, what you think about Cleveland? Hell no, don't go there, bro. They had you on the sideline looking crazy. Hey, Jarvis Landry, hey, what you think about coming to Cleveland? Is it a nice place? What you think? Man, don't go there, man, bro. They got, come on, bro. I couldn't even get to Rock, man. Like, I thought I was going to get to Rock, man. I ain't getting to Rock either. Hey, listen, let me call up Stephon Diggs. Yo, what's up, man? You work with Stefanski. They offering this on the table. Should I come over there? Man, I'm cool, bro. I got my bag in Buffalo, man. You know what I'm saying? Cats wasn't even giving me targets like that. What make you think a receiver coming anywhere, stepping in Dodge? And I'm kicking 100% facts. And this is the thing. It's hard to refute the facts. It's hard to look at it. I'm going to come here, get money, not get the football, be upset about it, and then get blamed for being a cancer. I mean, it's pretty much, I'm going to come here, not get targets, block people, be open, be like, oh, he's a locker room distraction when you question why I don't get the ball. It's a circle with the Browns. It's just a circle. You know, we don't get free agents. Ask yourself why you don't get free agents. Because you really don't like free agents like that. You don't really like them like that. You just like people that's from Cleveland or love Lake Erie or want to live in Northeast Ohio or like have to hate Michigan. Like, you don't want free agents. When free agents come here, your first thing you want to say is you're not one of us. I mean, what free agents has been treated so well? I mean, we didn't even treat LeBron that good. Let's keep it a buck. You can't possibly really honestly believe that the receivers need upgraded when you just had upgrades and you didn't want them and you didn't throw them the football and you just was like, I'm going to give you away for free. You still got a guy who just now started getting the ball in Jarvis Landry, and he had to say something. You got rookie young guys on the team right now that you don't use. So it's backwards mentality. It's ridiculous. And the fact that now all of a sudden people are aware that we're not getting no downfield passing attack. Where were you at when people like me was telling you that last year? Where were you at when I was saying, like, yo, you're not beating the Kansas City Chiefs because you don't have anybody that they respect on the outside? And we forgot all about it. We drank the Kool-Aid and thought we was going to run 45 times a game with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. We was going to be back there and we could throw 4 or 5 boot action, play action, and everybody was going to go be Kumbaya, Super Bowl, Super Browns. So are you going to get a receiver? I mean, if you want to, but does it really matter? Can your offensive coordinator get over himself and throw the football to receivers?
No, I'm smiling because if Bill Walsh, if he had this offense, would have had this thing like a pinball machine.
Can your offensive coordinator get over his tight end love and fetish?
Meaning they would score at will. And by the way, Odell Beckham would have had numbers similar to Jerry Rice. I don't doubt that one bit.
And start having receivers. And can your quarterback, hurt, tired, tough as nails, whatever the case may be accurate? If you don't have those two things, the Cleveland Browns are just the same old Cleveland Browns. And that's just the harsh reality.